Hello reviewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Science Thursday, we're gonna talk about cover crop. So let's dive right into it. Now, what exactly is the problem that we need something like a cover crop? Well, problem is farming is getting difficult, meaning the farmers, basically the people who are classified as producers, they are suffering a lot at this point in time. And the primary reason for that is it's no longer profitable, meaning there is an upper limit how much somebody is willing to pay for a crop. Like your food can only be a certain point. It cannot be like, $50,000 for a meal. You're not gonna pay for it. It's like duh. So there is a limit how, high price can go. However, the price of fertilizer, things of that nature, they can go up YOLO. So in those sort of scenario, your profit margin goes down. So basically all the producers around the world, they're suffering a lot. And because of the changes and because of our stupid way of farming so far, we have created a scenario where farming is no longer stable or predictable. Meaning if you plant a crop, do you know it's gonna blossom and give you yield? Well, good luck. That's how it is for everyone, be it in Europe, be it in USA, be it in India. It's everywhere the same story. It's like it's no longer predictable. It's not like I planted the fruit, you're gonna have the yield. Like it's not there. And again, sometimes things happen. Even if you do the all things right, some things bad could happen. But reality is, from an overall perspective, from a nation's point of view, it should never happen, but it has happened. And consequence of that is increasing food prices everywhere. And there is an upper limit how high food prices can go before it lol. So that is a very serious problem. And the primary reason for that is our method of farming is fundamentally broken, and it's everywhere. It's like, be it in Europe, be it in India, be it China, be it everywhere. It's like only now we are realizing something very fundamental that somehow we neglected from early industrial revolution, is that naked soil equals dying soil. Meaning if you can see the soil, meaning it's dying. Fundamentally it has a ticking element at this point. Like if you have a soil that is this barren, it will become barren. It could be fertile as all hell, but if it's naked over time, like being naked is like a ticking element for it. It runs out over time. It can turn the most fertile land you can ever find into a barren land, something like this. This is one thing we have to learn. Very, like, we learned it the hard way. Basically you cannot have empty soils. And what are the primary destroyers of soil? A, sun. Meaning sun was the first damage of soil. When you expose it to the sunlight directly, first thing loss, water, moisture, it boils away. Then soil temperature goes up, meaning it literally bakes microorganism alive, which you need if you want to make sure the soil health is healthy. But you cook that. Now that fundamentally breaks down the soil. It's like it takes something like clay, makes it into a powder. What happens after that? You have wind in this world. Wind, there is no armor against it. Your soil, poof. And if you have studied any level of science even before class 10, you would have known for a fact that soil has something known as topsoil or humus. That's it. That's the only lifeblood of soil. Everything else below it is pointless. Is that layer, that 1 inch or 2 inch thick layer, is the main point. Again, if you are doing properly, that layer could be much thicker, but it has a limit, and wind destroys that layer. Then even if wind did not damage all of it, the rain will, because you no longer have the binding agent. You no longer have the structure that makes sure the soil stays as a soil. And now you may be like, this is one thing that is very counterintuitive. It's like if you think a soil is dry, you will think, oh, water is going to seep in, but that does not happen. So if you see soil like this, if rain happens on this, it will cause flash flooding. The soil will no longer be have the ability to absorb water, so it creates runoff, and it's brutal. Meaning if you have just fertilized that land and then runoff happens, again, good luck with your riverways, waterways, all that. All those will be destroyed. And it has happened. It's not like something, oh, I'm just exaggerating. It's like, yeah, it happens every month. This is one. That's how bad it is. Meaning if you have a soil that is cooked, naked, exposed to the elements, the end, it's dead. It's like only difference is like how quickly it's gonna die. Again, if the soil was very healthy, it could take 5-6 years. But if it's again, that's the only point. It should never ever be exposed to sunlight directly. And a live soil, meaning if you plant your crops after every plantation, if there is nothing on the soil, it's dead. If you have alive roots there, it is very key ingredient to soil health. Now soil is one thing that we are learning over time, that soil is not just powder, it's not stuff. It has ecosystem, meaning there is whole microbiome inside it, where you have bacteria, fungi, things of this nature working together to take care of each other. Everything is at this point in time in a symbiotic relationship. Like think of it this way: you see forest, you see how thick, solid, robust that puppies are. And here's the deal: nobody is planting fertilizer there. Nobody is like, oh, we're gonna water it this much. It's like rain, that's it, done. How the heck that's happening? That's because soil has a very healthy ecosystem inside it. If that ecosystem is healthy, you're good. If health is not dead, barren soil coming for you. That's the whole reality of it. That's why nature's first line of defense is thou shall never have naked soil. If you have naked soil, bye bye. Now, cover crops have received many names. One of the interesting name that is used in India is green manure. Now, again, it's also used everywhere. But if you hear green manure or crop covers, more or less same thing. Now, generally, you plant these them between two money crops, meaning these are gonna make you money. This is gonna make you money, but you will have like around 1 month to 2 month time where you will have nothing on the soil, and that's the worst thing ever. Thou shall never have soil exposed to the sun. So in those sort of time, you will have fast growing crops between the money crops, meaning from this time to this time you have like less around 60 days of period generally. There you're gonna plant something that will grow within that time frame. Generally around 15 days it will have like a plant kind of structure, and then you're gonna have like a thick green coverage over around let's say 1 month. Like after around 45 days it will start to reach flowering stage. At that point it's ready to be harvested again depending on what you want to do. Generally in no tillage system you're just gonna roll them over. This will become a shield for the next crops, and that's it. You will not disturb the soil. No tillage is very integrated part of this sort of system. And why do you want to do this? Because first thing you will have, because this will consume money, this will consume some time. Why the heck you want to do that? Because this is the best fertilizer you can have. It does what we call nitrogen fixing, meaning it has the ability. Again, some cover crops have been specifically selected for that, and there is a whole ecosystem, meaning depending on how much rainfall you have, what kind of soil environment you have, you will have a cover crop that is suited to work exactly there right then. Now these puppy will absorb nitrogen from the atmosphere and bind it into these nodules. Now these nodules will be consumed by the next season's basically crop, meaning you are just taking nitrogen free from the air and tada, nitrogen. Now ask every farmer what is the importance of nitrogen. It's expensive. Now doing this, it's free. So now even if you consider the cost of cover crops, fundamentally it's 1/10 the cost of how much you have to pay to provide the similar amount of nitrogen using nitrogen salts. It's ludicrously wild how bad the variation is. On top of that, now you're getting very solid good supply of natural nitrogen. You're also creating an armor. Now that armor has multiple benefits. First benefit is weed prevention, meaning nothing else can grow here simply because again it's covered. It's like everything that can be exploited already exploited, and that's how nature kind of balances itself up. Think of it this way: how the heck a forest has so many trees? How many it has so many varieties? That variety is the first line of defense, or to be fair, the ultimate line of defense against everything. Meaning, let's say you have an ant. And that ant is like multiplying like crazy. That new species is like brutal and is destroying trees. Here's the not every tree species will have a cure for it, but one will. By definition, one will. And the moment it ant attacks that, it dies. Nature restores the balance, and that's how nature stabilizes everything. It's like oh, this weed is very brutal for this soil. Okay, something else will grow there that is like I'm counter to you. There is a balance. You will never have zero weeds, you will never have zero hostile species, but you will always have a balance because of diversity. And that's what you are trying to do, because money crops are fundamentally monocultures. It's like cotton, sugarcane, wheat, whatever have you, they are fundamentally monoculture. Like you will have hectares of that with one thing. That's fundamentally weak. However, when you are doing cover crops, you are breaking that puppy up. And again, in cover crop also, you are not bounded by a law that you have to have only one type of cover crops. You can go YOLO on it, and people generally recommend that. Again, not in the first time when you are doing cover crops, but by the time second and third, once you have good enough nitrogen concentration, it's like but how about you mix some things up, because this also helps that microbiome to have diversity. And when it has that diversity, it can fight against invasive elements from all vectors. Meaning if you have one insect, it's like I got this. Like again, the one plant will be like I'm completely useless against this, other plant will be like I got you back. And that's how nature protects itself. Again, erosion. Now this is critical, because we all know, we have seen it, like rain happens and rivers turns into chocolate. It's like how the hell that happened? Because soil was leached, and soil is very, well, it's precious for the nation. So that erosion, protection against erosion is priceless. And this is one thing that people are learning. Now be mindful, cover crops are dumb things, not things like you're gonna plant it precisely, measure everything. However, for best yield, meaning for the best boost in productivity, it's recommended to A, mix it, B, study the goddamn thing, which crop you are planting, how you are planting it, where you are planting it, all those things. There are a lot of vector data that you have to study. It's like, okay, vector temperature is like too high. Again, there are winter crop circuits, there are like summer crop circuits, there are like drought resistant circuits. There is more than enough in this planet. That's like every scenario is covered. So you just have to know what exactly will work for your use case scenario, and this creates green manure. And if done correctly, it will make sure that you never need to buy artificial fertilizer. Of course, it will never happen that in year 1, but year 25 it will. Actually, by year 5 it happens. So this is a toolkit that is very important for all of us, because this helps in soil health. This is one thing that we are learning the hard way. There have been people who have been working on this puppy for around 20-25 years, and the statement they make sounds stupid. It's like they will say like, oh, from 2007 I have never put artificial fertilizer. It's like, that does not sound right, but here's the deal. That's how nature works. That's literally how every single forest in every single continent works. It's like nobody fertilizes the forest, and forests have like gigatons of green matter. How the heck that happened? Nature knows how to take care of itself. Inherently, all it needs is, actually, it does not even need anything. Fundamentally speaking, it knows how to take care of itself. If we want to milk that puppy, all we have to do is take care of its health. If you take care of its health, it's like, I got this, fam. And when it's done with conjunction of no tillage, that's why what last video was, no tillage. If you are not physically destroying the soil over time, you are building upon it, and that is very critical aspect. Right now, farming is a destructive process, meaning you farm, the soil goes from GG to no. And if you do this sort of basically cover crops, crop rotations, and no tillage, over time you start to build the soil up, meaning your soil goes from let's say like 5% carbon content to as high as like 15%. At that point in time, you can just throw things on it, it will grow. That's how efficient it will become. You can have idiotic amount of thunderstorm, like raining like there is no tomorrow, and soil will be like, I did it to some moisture. Like it will not even care about rains. And this is a very good example of that. Like this plot has basically radishes as a cover crop. This has no cover crop, and you can see rainwater run off. Rainwater damage the crop. Again, this is not a money making crop, so it's not too big of a deal, but roots are holding it together. It's like, I got this, and here's the deal. The moment is you start to have really healthy soil, it can absorb ludicrously large amount of rain compared to a dry cell. If you have a dry cell here, yeah, even a few inches of rain, the end. Like you can have few feet of rain and it will like, I got this. And this is very critical, because as global warming becomes more and more severe, what we are having is low snowfall. But here's the, water is still evaporating. Actually, it's evaporating at higher rate. So what the hell is happening? It's happening rain, meaning you're gonna have rain from like 10 inches to 12 inches. Rain is becoming brutal, especially around equator bases, meaning India is gonna be flooded like there is no tomorrow. So it is critical that we preserve our soil. Otherwise, we're gonna be hungry. And this is one thing. Over time, this is not something that you start to do cover crops today, you're gonna barely have like 2 to 5% benefit. Again, be mindful, for many farmers that like, shut up and take my money, and that's why farmers are changing their tactics right now. But over time, let's say you keep doing this, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, this will become thick enough. This will basically, the layering, the bio ecodome will become solid and robust enough where it's like, I got this. At that point in time, you have basically everything cost, meaning how much pesticides you are using will go down. Because again, a healthy ecosystem with diversity is like, I got this. One pesticide will not be able to destroy everything. It's like, I'm like very good at this many things, cannot destroy these things. So nature always, that's why nature prefers diversity. If you have that sort of armoring of your soil, over time the biomatter will grow, it will improve, and it will become self-sufficient. It will become robust, healthy. And here's the interesting part, why somebody want to pour so much mental power, so much, like, again, physically these things are not expensive, but and not to mention, even from a cost point of view, the benefits that you are getting in reduction in fertilizer, flat out, it's net positive. However, it will make it drought resistant, meaning if rain happens, let's say 1 month late, normal soil, the end. If rain does not happen 1 month late on a healthy soil, it can almost pull through, meaning your drought will not destroy your crops. Heat waves, it's a very big issue in India, because crops are just like burning. Again, if you have this sort of armament basically, and it will allow seeds to germinate properly, soil to not lose moisture, inherently it makes much more robust stock out of it, that yields into much better heat resistance. Flooding, I cannot give you a clear picture than this. Flooding, which is going to be very brutal issue in the future. So this is one of the toolkits, with conjunction with a no tillage, means you can have a soil where farming is no longer destructive to it, it's constructive to it, meaning you're going to have something that's barren, and you're like, 5 years from now this is going to be green, 10 years from now we got this, 20 years from now fertilizer companies, man, they keep trying to sell us like with low discounts and all that. That could happen, and people have done it successfully and almost everywhere in this continent, in this planet basically. And government realize this, like from every place and every country that has good healthy government, there are programs, there are discounts for this exact reason. Because if you do this properly from a government point of view, it's also beneficial rather than like importing gigatons of, or importing or redirecting funds to making fertilizer. They're like, yeah, soil takes care of itself. That's awesome from a country point of view. Like think of it this way, like imagine all of your crops are becoming reliable. Like if you plant 100 tons, you're gonna get 80 ton no matter what. Like that's how robustness helps you. That means your country have food security. That is very priceless. And again, having less soil runoff means your groundwater contamination is also low. Awesome. So this is one of the very important toolkit. If used with no tillage, your problem will be solved over time. Again, it will not solve all the single problem in 1 year, but over time it will. Now, at the end of the day, we always hit this one roadblock, the roadblock of mindset, because you have to understand this. It's not going to happen magically overnight, because soil biome that we destroyed over years of tillage, over years of monoculture cropping will take time to rebuild. It's not something like, tada, cover crop, where is my money? That's not going to happen. Over time, it's going to work. Over a year, 2% in this year, 2% next year, 2% next year. Over time, it's going to build up something like that. And once you go through that, then you achieve self-sufficiency. And before that, you have to understand this does not require all the system that I'm talking about, basically no tillage farming and cover crops. None of them are labor intensive. Actually, they are less labor intensive compared to tillage system. However, they are complex and require adaptation, meaning you cannot just go YOLO and have whatever cover crops you have. It could cause you an insecticide issue where you have you have to use too much insecticide, because again, if your cover crops do not have diversity, it's not well suited for that area, it could become a breeding ground for insects. So again, it does require some complex understanding and adaptability. And again, government is aware of that fact, and that's why they will create directives for this exact area. It's like, oh, if you are in this state, this directive works generally very well for you. If you are in this state, it works very well for you. And inherently we are changing from our mindset of brain over brawn, because right now the old adage is you till the earth to before it starts to yield money. That's not how it works. Basically, we have to protect the earth. Thou shall not break the earth, thou shall never ever have soil naked. And be mindful, soil color, if ever it's looking like this almost desert like, it's actually close to desert at that point in time. That's why you see desertification, how the heck that's happening. Yeah, naked soil equal desert. So this is one thing that you have to understand from all of point of view. And people who are not understanding, they are suffering from this. This is the price of nitrogen going YOLO, and this creates a bankruptcy risk. And again, Indian farmers are suffering like there is no tomorrow. And again, there are some exploitative business practices also. However, their soils are failing. That's why they are suffering. And the old adage of old way of doing things is fundamentally lethal to them. So it has to be taken care of. We have to change our method of doing things. If we do not, we dead. So this was my presentation on cover crops. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment, because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.